I'm very happy this morning to introduce to you TJ and Hadley Douglas. They are the founders of the Boston-based Drink Progressively Group. This is an innovative Black and woman-owned wine industry company with a mission to build community through beverage. That sounds interesting. I want to hear more about that. It began with a brick and mortar retail store called the Urban Grape in Boston's vibrant South End neighborhood, but has continued to expand. Congratulations about having your submission to Authority magazine published recently, as well as congratulations for your growing business. Would you mind starting out by telling us how you two met?
Uh,
We have two different versions of this.
Yeah, of
Mine is really
course.
short and sweet and to the point. She picked me up at a bar,
Okay, that
a
covers
bar
it.
that I was working at.
Okay.
She was a guest, and I was a server, and it was on Marathon Monday, I think in 2000 or in 2001.
2001.
2001, a Marathon Monday here in Boston. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
the less sweet version is that I had a friend who had gone to the restaurant where TJ was working maybe 2 weeks before, and TJ had been their server, and I was supposed to go out to dinner with them, and I said no, I didn't want to go because I was hanging out with my current boyfriend at the time
Uh-huh.
that none of them liked. And my friend called me after and said, listen, your future husband waited on us. You should have
Oh,
come to dinner. And I was like, whatever. I just got pretty upset with her. But then I ended up at his bar on Marathon Monday, which in Boston is like an all-day drinking fest. I mean,
yeah.
everyone is just cocktailing from 8 a.m. on. And I walked in and saw him, across the bar and called my friend and said, you're right, I'm going to marry him.
Oh my
But then
gosh.
proceeded to like drink all day long, Nancy. And he was serving and I was drinking and I wasn't my best self, honestly.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
that's how we met. And it took a while, maybe 4 months for us to go on our first date. But after the first date, we've been together ever since.
That's quite a story. I like both versions,
His
but
is nicer than
Hadley,
mine.
your version is a lot more fun.
A little spicier.
How amazing that you would know that and that your friend would know that.
I know, because she's a good friend.
When did you decide to work together?
It was really when after I left restaurants, I worked for distribution, and I was good at it, but I wasn't happy with it. It wasn't fulfilling. And I wanted to create a physical space where people could enjoy hospitality, wine education, and really bring people together. And so I wanted to start a wine shop. And so I asked Hads, who was, I think, were you out on maternity leave to help me write the business plan. And that was really, it wasn't by design. It was more of a, hey, can you help me kind of pursue my dream on this? And here we are, what, almost 16 years later, in this business together. And we really separate church and state. Like, we do two different things. We think about our businesses in different ways, but we always come to the same ending. And I think that's what's helped us be successful, not only in running our businesses and creating new businesses, but also separating it and being able to actually have, a husband and wife team and a mom and dad
Yes.
team to our kids. It's not just work all the time.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know if it was truly a decision, because if it was truly a decision and I gave you an opportunity, you probably would have said no.
I
What do you
probably would have said no.
think?
Because I had my own career and was
Mhm.
very happy in it. And I was home on maternity leave. So TJ took the opportunity of me with a newborn and a 2-year-old to ask if I could help him start his new business. I had a ton of time on my
Like
hands.
you had nothing else
Yeah,
to do.
nothing else to do. And then I just really never went back to work. It was so flexible in the beginning when we had
Mhm.
such little kids. And I could do every single pickup and from school, which was really important to me. And I've been able to grow on my side of the role as our kids have grown and as I've had more time. So it just ended up being a really good option for our family too.
Well, obviously by the outcome, it's turned out to be a great option. So one of you tell me what you mean by the mission to build community through beverage.
Go ahead,
Do you want
T.
to answer that?
That's really your motto in life, so you should explain it.
So I go back, Nancy. So we were in Italy when Hads asked me, like, what is your 5-year plan? And I'm like, I want to open up a store. I want to organize wine by its body, by its weight, put it on a scale of 1 to 10, and really help take the intimidation out of wine. And I want to call it il tavolo, like the table, right? Because the table really brings people together and really
Mhm.
building community. And wanting to organize and sell and educate people on my passion, which was wine and hospitality, but taking away the intimidation side of it, which is
Mhm.
what kind of grape varietal it is, where does it come from, can you even pronounce it, vintages, and also appellation, right? Where does that wine come from in the world? Do you know where it is on a map, and can you pronounce it? And a lot of those times the answer is no, which makes wine very intimidating. And
Mhm.
I figured that if I can put it on a scale of 1 to 10 and make it more accessible to people, it's going to build a community of educated wine consumers
I see.
that understand it, and they can all do it around our table or their own tables. And that was really building the community through Beverage, which is our platform.
Yeah, and
So,
I would just add really quickly, Nancy, that at our tables, which are these big, huge tasting tables, on any given Thursday night, which is when we have our free public tastings, you will find a newly 21-year-old trying wine, asking questions with a seasoned, 55-year-old wine connoisseur, and they're standing
uh-huh.
there next to each other and they're enjoying the same wine and they're getting something different out of it. And I just don't think that happens in many wine spaces.
Yeah.
So that is really the practical outcome of this desire of wanting to build community through beverage, is that we bring a lot of different people around the same table.
I love that idea of community, and I also love the idea of simplifying the
Mhm.
education around wine testing because it does sound very intimidating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So what does drink progressively mean?
You want to
Well,
take that one, Had?
sure. The original meaning is, for 14 years now has been to drink on the progressive scale. So to retrain how people think about buying wine and drinking wine to thinking about the progressive scale. So from 1 on our scale, which is the most light bodied, to 10, which is the most full bodied. Over the years, as we have become more confident business owners and more confident in our vision, and as our voice has grown within the industry, it really has also come to mean inviting different people to the table. So we are a Black and woman owned
Mm,
brand and of companies. And often people of color and women do not feel very welcome in wine spaces. I think it's changed more for women in the last 10 years on the positive side than for people of color. But it has come to mean to us too that everyone can come to our space and everyone can enjoy wine. And so it has developed this kind of secondary meaning over the years.
okay.
And there's also a third meaning to that, Nancy, of, as your palate, it gets more experience by trying new
Mhm.
things and traveling to different places. Your palate actually progresses,
Mhm.
That
right? So
makes
you
perfect sense.
yourself, the consumer, is actually drinking progressively while supporting the industry of drinks to be more progressive
Mhm.
using our progressive scale.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
We were using the word long before it took on this polarizing
Yes,
meaning.
yes.
Um, and, we stick with it because of what it means to us in these 3 meanings. So,
So I read that Hadley sells the store and TJ sells what's in it. I understand that TJ must be selling the merchandise, but what does selling the store mean to
Mm.
you, Hadley?
So I really work on marketing, communications, events, new business development. So I'm selling the store to the stakeholders that invest in our company, to our potential customers, to our vendors. I'm making sure that the store is well known to get the people to the store. And then I really don't have much to do with what happens inside the store. In terms of products or how they're sold or things like that. That really all falls under TJ.
yes,
I'm the one that gets to taste all the wine with my team.
Yeah.
okay.
He's the more fun job, I think.
Well, as I've interviewed what we're calling power couples, couples that work together as well as be married, they all emphasize how important it is that they have different defined roles.
Yes.
So you don't step on each other's toes, I
Yep.
assume.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you know,
because
Nancy, they're defined roles of again, you know, like this wasn't planned for us to be business partners, right?
Mhm,
We're just really good at being business partners because we have these self-defined roles, right? You
mhm,
know, the 35 other people in our companies all have very specific job descriptions, but as
right,
entrepreneurs,
right.
we really have our hands in everything and wear multiple hats and have great teams that help us, you know, support that. But our roles, our defined roles are things that we're actually passionate about and
Mhm,
actually good at, right? Like
right.
Hadley is great at what she does, and I think really good at what I do,
Yeah.
right? But if we tried to do each other's roles, could we get by? We could, but then that's not the fun part of being business owners, you
Mhm.
know?
My dad and his two brothers ran a farming company for 45 years, and they defined their roles by who was good at what.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my dad was the farmer, and uncle handled all the machinery, and another uncle handled all the paperwork and the
There you
office
Mhm.
go.
stuff.
How you got to do it.
And they worked together very well.
Love
Because
that.
I'm a relationship guru, I love that you've made dinners at home with your boys a high priority. Would you say that's a non-negotiable?
Non-negotiable.
The
I
only
would.
thing that makes it negotiable is our kids' schedules. Like if
Mm.
they want, you know, if they have a game or a practice or want to go hang out with their girlfriend, we try to invite the girlfriend over for our dinner so that we can still have it. So
Uh-huh.
there is a little actual negotiating now, and
Yes.
as our kids get older and
Yeah.
busier, you know, it's a little bit harder to have that, but it is so important to you know, get that one day where we're hearing about their lives, phones are off, TV's
Mhm.
off. They're hearing about our lives as well, because you know, sometimes
Mhm.
as a family, you know, we get so busy we're like ships passing in the night. And that's, you know, we don't want it to because it goes by like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so having that dinner, and Hadley is an amazing cook, and she's very thoughtful and intentional with what she puts on her table. And you know, I always try to, you know, pair something nice with it. But sitting at that table, even if it's for 30 minutes, is so important
Mhm.
because you know we love our kids and we want to know about their lives, not just in passing.
I would
I,
say Sunday nights are the pretty much the non-negotiable. And then, we have a 15 and a 17-year-old and they're busy, but, and we're busy too. But if the four of us are in the same building, then I really expect you make an appearance at the dinner table. I
yes.
understand you might have a lot of homework or you might be getting home from practice late, but I'd like you to sit for at least 5 minutes while you inhale your burrito bowl and do at least a little catch up. But Sundays are where we try and really just put the phones away and hang out.
I've heard that several times that there's a certain period of time that's non-negotiable where there's no electronics.
Yeah.
Mm,
You know, I just
mhm.
really admire your commitment to being great parents as well as great business owners.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
They're the whole reason we do it. So without that, why put yourself through all the effort?
Yeah. So you also mentioned that you've chosen to stay home more. What brought
Mhm.
that about?
I think that maybe I mean, we've always been that way. I'm much more of a homebody. TJ is a huge extrovert and loves to go out. But I think that um, we love our home and we love the energy of our home and we love to cook and pair wine. And
Mhm.
oftentimes we found that the food we're serving and the wine we're serving are better than what we can get out anyway. So we love to have friends over. We love to have, it's not like we sit here like monks, not
Mhm.
talking to anyone, but I would rather have a bunch of friends over and have a nice long lingering dinner party than
Mhm.
meet them out and spend $500 and feel
Mhm.
like I didn't get to talk to everyone or it was too fast or and then I think we're so busy in so many areas of our lives that squeezing in that extra night of going out to be seen somewhere when you are going to miss your kids for the third night in a row, that's where we're like, it's not worth it to us, you know? So we would rather miss the restaurant opening and be here for
Mhm.
to see, be with our kids and be with each other and just put our feet up and maybe watch a show or have a great glass of wine, than always feel like we have to be out and about and seen
Mhm.
at the next great thing.
I love your priorities, and I'm sure that, I'm sure that in the overall picture, your commitment to your family and your marriage contributes to your success in the business world as well.
I hope so. I will never forget. I did have one man say to me at the store one time, the reason why I don't shop here is because I don't see you at like the neighborhood nonprofit things. And I don't think you're invested in our neighborhood. And I said, I am giving an auction item to all of those. I'm helping them with beverage
Mhm.
catering. We're supporting them in other ways. But the
Mhm.
reason why you don't see me there is because I'm at the basketball gym watching my kids. And if you think I'm going to prioritize that over my own
Oh,
children,
gosh,
then
yeah,
you need to reevaluate me. And if that means you won't shop at the store, that means you won't shop at the store. I'm okay with that.
yeah. What a criticism
I
to
know,
make,
Mhm.
weird criticism.
It's that's unfortunate. You've also made traveling as a family and as a couple another high priority. I smiled when you said you take couple trips to places that don't grow grapes or make wine, so you won't be tempted to work.
Yeah.
So how do you see in the overall scheme of your lives, traveling and your time at home together fitting in with your success as business people?
That's a tough one, especially where we are in our family cycle. We're now on the college tour list because we
Mhm.
have a rising senior. So we're traveling in a lot of places, but also trying to figure out in 5 years when we have, both kids in college or one out of college and one in college, what are we doing? Where are we going? Where are
Mhm,
we going to live? What are we going to travel to? And, I think traveling with our children, it's so amazing. Like get them to see places and be involved in other cultures and have more
mhm,
experiences and be more progressive thinkers is so important to us for them, but also for ourselves. But then it's also like, Hadley and I just got back from Wyoming last night because our son works on a ranch all summer in
mm.
Wyoming,
What a
and
great
he had a day and a half
experience.
in between sessions. So we flew out there to get him some new boots, take him out to a couple dinners, do some laundry. We drove around, dropped him off at
Uh-huh,
camp, and then came back to Boston last
Yeah,
night.
uh-huh,
3
So like
days.
we're also traveling, right? To see our kids, which is
Yes.
which
yes.
is super important. Hads, I don't know if you want to add anything to Nancy's
No, I
question.
was just going to say that same thing. So we flew out on Sunday, we flew back on Wednesday. We only saw our son for about 26 hours. We fed
Uh-huh.
him every 2 hours. All he wanted was a meal every 2 hours, did his laundry, which like was the worst smelling laundry pile I've ever
Uh-huh.
smelled. And it was so crazy. Like, who flies to Wyoming for basically 24 hours? But it was such a huge priority for us to see
Mhm,
our kids. And we ended up having the best time. We did this whole, after we dropped him back at the ranch, we drove this whole mountain pass and ended up in this cute little town in Montana. And
mhm.
it felt like a 4 hour vacation that felt like a month to us, basically,
Yes,
because
yes.
our cell phones didn't work. We couldn't get any work calls. We're on the top of this mountain and it's amazing. There's no wine. We had cocktails everywhere. So um it just was a really nice break to
Mhm,
remember what's out there beyond your own scope. To be on the
Mm.
top of that mountain in between Wyoming and Montana was just the breath that you could take that you haven't maybe taken in a couple months. And so though it was such a fast trip, it was like just so reinvigorating.
My late husband and I discovered that a really good day off or a couple of days away is like a month's
Yes.
vacation as
Yes.
far as how refreshing it is.
And sometimes better than being away for a week because when you're away for a week, so much work piles up that it's so
Yes.
stressful to come home.
Yeah.
And so this little break was just really wonderful.
Well, I'm happy for you too, and I'm really happy that your son has that level of commitment from his
Mhm.
parents. That's wonderful. So many of the couples I've interviewed have a regular planned time to connect, and you call yours the Friday afternoon walk and talk. I love that title. So what happens during the walk and talk?
We drink a gin and tonic and
Okay.
We make some roadies, and we grab the dog, put him on the leash, and walk around our neighborhood. It's a pretty quiet neighborhood outside of Boston. And we just walk around, and I usually finish my drink, halfway through the walk, and Ads has hers by the time that we get back. And we just kind of we talk. We talk a little bit about, the 5 o'clock call that we just had. We talk about some events that we either had this week or we have coming up, but then we just talk about her garden, or we talk
yeah,
about what do we
nothing.
want for dinner this
Yeah.
weekend, or we talk about, our son's track times, or or how her parents are doing, or we just reconnect and turn work off. She's
Mhm,
always, and it's not a negative at all. She's always better at being able to turn work off faster than I am. And
mhm.
so it's an opportunity for me to kind of be forced to turn work off,
Yeah.
which is hard for me. I have to learn how to do that. But it's such a special time, the 45-minute walk around the neighborhood. Love it.
The gin and tonic is key though. That
Gin and
really
tonic, yeah.
signals the end of the work week and the start of the weekend.
It's like that's the signal that the switch
Yeah,
is turning. Okay.
exactly.
Totally,
When the
totally.
tonic cracks open, you're like, done.
Several of the therapists that I've interviewed about marriage tips emphasize how important it is to spend time together, but also to have separate hobbies and times apart. They say that keeps the romantic energy going. You work and travel together. What do you each enjoy that gives you some time apart?
We love our time apart, and I think that it used to freak me out how much I liked my time apart and then how much clearly TJ liked his time apart. It honestly made me question the opposite. Like, does this
Oh,
mean we're
yeah.
not getting along? But then you start to realize that the time apart is so vital. So for me, I love to garden, I love to walk the dog, and once a year I'll go just on a yoga retreat and no
Mhm,
phone. I don't talk to anyone. I don't have
mhm,
a responsibility in the world, and someone takes care of me, which never
mhm.
happens. Like my
Oh, gosh,
meals are
yeah.
made for me. I'm told where to be. I'm given a
Yeah.
schedule. I just follow. I'm like a, little mouse walking around, being led by the nose. So that is a really nice and refreshing time for me. And then TJ, do you want to talk about
Yeah, and
some?
then my time apart, it's different. A good amount of my time apart is actually still work. Since
Mhm.
we opened up our Urban Grape in DC in January, I'm typically in DC 2-ish days a week.
Uh-huh.
And then so I'm at the store, I'm doing an event, but then my time is, hanging out with the bartenders at the hotel bar, or I join this like wine social club down in DC. So I'll go there and we pop bottles and we geek out about wine. But then in Boston, I plan on a monthly golf tournament with
Oh,
a bunch of people. So I get to do that, right? And
uh-huh.
it's fun. And then sometimes my time alone is just also, sitting in the Delta Lounge, watching a movie, waiting to hop on a flight. It sounds boring, but
Yeah.
it's an opportunity to, turn off my QuickBooks and,
Yeah.
turn off Slack for a couple moments and just kind of zone out, but then
Teach
also
me
my time
about,
alone, or time away from the marriage side would be traveling with my boys. If we go do
Mhm,
a ski trip and, the three of us go out to Montana for a couple days and go skiing like that,
mhm.
that to me is very important. But you know what? We always have our home that Hadley creates for us to come back, right? We have our table.
Right.
We have our Douglas family community, that we always come back to.
Well, the therapist claimed that it's the time apart that keeps the marriage energized.
Yeah, because you have something to talk about that the
Yes.
other person didn't experience. So
Like,
Yeah.
like today, we can look at our calendars and there's not going to be a question at dinner tonight. So what'd you do today? I'm like, I was on every single meeting with you.
right,
Like,
we're on a lot of meetings together today. But it's nice. I mean, and then like, but probably the best part of my day, I already know what it's going to be, is I came home, I had to drop the dog off to the groomer really early, and I came home and TJ met me at the door, and I put my stuff down, and we've been gone for a few days. So I said, I'm just going to go walk around and look at my gardens and see, how they're all doing.
Mhm.
It's because it's been so hot here. And he got his little coffee cup and came with me. And I was like, oh my God, you care about my flowers.
Oh,
This is
that's,
really, and
yeah.
gave some compliments, and look at how this is growing. This is getting too much water. And so,
Uh-huh.
sometimes when your spouse dives into your hobby that is so often, even for
Mhm.
5 minutes, he did not want to be out there for more than 5 minutes, but it was a really meaningful 5 minutes. So
I
oh,
I
thanks,
can
babes.
understand that. Every couple has disagreements. It must be even true when you also work together. How do you settle disagreements?
I mean, Nancy, we have some barn burners, so I don't want anyone to think that like it's all kumbaya all the time over here. I mean, when TJ and I fight, we fight.
Okay.
But we also just have learned how to resolve it. And I think we've been together almost 20, well, we've been married almost 20 years and together
Mhm.
for 23 years. And I think that what you realize over that amount of time, you're never fighting about the thing you pretend to be fighting about.
I
That's
know.
just
It's
the
never the
powder
real
keg,
issue.
right?
Yeah.
That's not the real issue. So I think we've gotten really good at understanding each other's triggers. That's a good and a bad thing, because we know how to push each other over the edge
Mhm.
really quickly. But then we also realize, okay, I've hit a trigger. I need to back off of that. Um, and sometimes we don't resolve it, but then they'll just be like the funny little text that shows like I'm 20% over this, and then it gets a little funnier, and I'm 50%
Ah,
over it. And then a couple hours later, it's gone. Um, so yes, we do fight. Yes, we do disagree. But it never is something that really lasts between us.
you don't
And,
allow
and,
the
and I, and I would add to that from from a business side that over the past couple of years, we have people that we've created positions for on our team, like at the executive level, that
Mhm.
understand us personally and professionally. And so now we'll have conversations and they can kind of help
Yeah,
guide,
sometimes they
or
see it
they
coming
can
and
come in a
they're
little
like,
neutral, like, all right, TJ's the one, Hadley's, like, and we can come in and they can help us, right? Like as a it's like our work family. They can help us kind of get through what we need to get through, and we always come out on top, which is great.
Well, it sounds like you never allow the disagreement to threaten the relationship, the
no.
foundation,
No, it's
and
never worth it.
and how wonderful that you have team members that know you both well enough to do a little negotiating in there. Your, I was interested in your Urban Grape Wine Studies Award for Students of Color. Sounds amazing. What was the purpose for starting it, and what have been the results?
Yeah, results have been great, and I'll get into that. In 2018, we wanted to create a program with the Elizabeth Bishop School, which is part of the Boston University Metropolitan College and their wine and gastronomy program. This is a program that I took, I don't know, 20 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And why we wanted to do this is because we've always thought of ourselves as a very diverse company. But at the end of the day, I was the only person of color in our company. We've always been a very female forward company, a very LGBTQ plus forward company, but it was like me and the black delivery driver. And in order for us to increase diversity on that level, we needed to create a pool of qualified workers. And the
Mhm,
only way we can do that is through education, practical work experience,
mhm.
and mentorship and coaching. And so we had the idea of creating this program in 2018, and in 2020 we were able to do that. And so the Urban Grape Wine Studies Award for Students of Color, we raised $250,000 all through customers to create an endowment at
Wow.
Boston University. And it puts two people that are 21, identify as people of color, and have some kind of interest in the alcohol industry through a just shy of a 1-year certification program for wine. And that coincides with 4 paid internships that are kind of more like apprenticeships, because you're learning trades, right? You're learning sales and retail, wholesale, work in restaurants. But then you go to California and you learn how to make wine. You actually learn how to make our wine, Progressive Wine
All
Company.
right, all right.
And when you come out of this program, you've now experienced 4 sides of the wine industry. You have free wine education, you have a network, our network, and the network that we've helped you build. And you go out and you can just get careers. And that's really how we're progressing the wine industry and the beverage industry as a whole, is that we're bringing more people of color into this industry that can work on all facets of the industry. I mean, wine touches absolutely everything. So we created that in Boston. We wanted to do that in our own backyard first, but our goal, Nancy, is to have that in other markets, meaning other areas. One of the reasons that we moved down to DC is because we want to create something like this in DC. And then in a few other cities and states as well. Did I leave anything out, Hads?
No, perfect.
Amazing, amazing vision. So wrapping this up, if any of the viewers want to contact you, they can find you on Instagram and Facebook, or go to their website, the Urban Grape. Yeah, theurbangrape.com.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much for the time you gave me today. And I admire your priorities. I admire your vision, and certainly have a lot of respect for the success that you've achieved.
Thank you so much, Nancy. It's so nice to actually talk about the more personal side of our lives instead of just the business side. So thanks for that opportunity.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you so much,
welcome.
Nancy.
You're certainly welcome. And I wish you the best and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.